This is the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio. I'm Kevin Scholla in the 3D Security and Training Academy studios.
And I am so honored tonight to be able to speak about America's finest.
She does it again. Sarah Palin wows 'em at CPAC. Mama Grizzly Radio was there. We'll have a recap of the governor's important speech. Palin gives the NBC musical show The Voice a big thumbs up, and not just because of heartthrob Blake Shelton. We'll tell you why. A brand new installment of Liberty and Legacy with Tamara Colbert is on the way from Texas, and just ahead our latest edition of Steel Resolve with Sarah Steelman in Missouri. Welcome to the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio. The Palin Update is sponsored by 3D Security and Training Academy. Learn more at 3dsta.com. Even though, or perhaps especially because, Fox News and others are not covering it at all, we'd like to bring you a recap of the best speech from CPAC 2015, Governor Sarah Palin's. Palin gave an eloquent talk, and her remarks tackled some heavy issues concerning our true American heroes. We take you to Maryland now, the site of CPAC 2015. She was introduced by a true hero in Sergeant Dakota Meyer. And then Governor Sarah Palin talked about why we need to stand up for Meyer and his generation of vets. Palin referenced the great George Washington to drive her points home.
From then until now, there's been a long line of heroic vets, and they connect our history from George Washington to today, to Chris Kyle. Millions like them.
The governor didn't sugarcoat things. Our veterans often come back from the battlefield with serious problems. Problems we need to address.
The longer someone's deployed and then redeployed, well, the more likely they'll suffer PTSD. And about 500,000 of our returning vets, they suffer some form of it. They suffer disproportionate unemployment numbers. And the average divorce rate, it's around 80%. And worse, worse, the suicide rate among our best and our brightest is 23 a day.
Palin, of course, a military mom herself, touched on her son, Track Palin, and his brave service to our country.
When my son went off to war the first time as a teenager, I was confronted with the same reality that all the other moms have to face, and that's realizing that, man, I wasn't going to be there to help, to protect. Moms can't be there when they hurt. I could pray, and I did, and I do, but few things are more difficult than to kiss a child goodbye, off into harm's way, knowing that you're not going to be able there to protect.
Those first deployments, Palin says, is when you go from calling your child son to calling him sir. Regrettably, the Obama administration and the politicians in Washington have let our military down, and that's putting it mildly.
We can't wait for D.C. to fix their bureaucratic blunders. This bureaucracy is killing our vets.
The way some of our heroes are being treated is nothing less than disgusting.
The VA's mistakes and those cover-ups, they have cost the lives of 500 vets in just the last 4 years, and that doesn't account for those who took their own lives in terror.
Palin painted a picture of complete failure from the top.
We witness the way a corrupt government treats our vets. The VA, putting them on those secret waiting lists and deceiving Congress and spying on investigators who are just trying to get to the bottom of it.
The governor is demanding solutions, vouchers for health care outside the VA, and time to put our vets before illegals when it comes to care. The governor calls for allowing vets to use the skills they learned in the military in the workplace. Use common sense, she says. An endangered species in Washington, as Palin puts it. She chided politicians for cutting military benefits and not their own. But health care and benefits are only part of the equation.
General Washington wished for our veterans that their deeds in war would be recognized as glorious and honorable. And the deeds have been, certainly, there's no question. But see, the thing that those vets from the Revolutionary War, what they had that today's troops don't, is victory.
Palin says veterans need to know their brothers and sisters who didn't make it home from war didn't die in vain.
It's the duty of he who sends them to actually make sure that we can win those wars. And it's our duty to elect an honorable commander-in-chief who is willing to make the same sacrifices he sends others away to make.
Palin then addressed the expansion of ISIS and the administration's failure to wipe out the threat.
When Obama took over the war on terror, Islamists were in retreat and Al-Qaeda was a broken force. Now, Islamists, they control more territory than ever. It's where they train and launch more attacks on us and our allies, and that was predictable.
Palin points out the rise of ISIS is the result of the administration's refusal to heed the warnings of military brass. There is a way to stop them, though.
The only thing standing between us and savages, it's the red, white, and blue. It's the United States military.
Like the problem solver that she is, Palin didn't just list what we want or what we need. She mapped out the way to achieve such things. One thing we must do is call out who the enemy really is.
Pretending it's not there doesn't make it go away. Calling it something else won't make it so. And lecturing Christians to get off our high horse about radical Islam won't stop the Islamists from killing Christians.
Palin called on President Obama to wake up.
While Christians bow our heads to pray for you, radical Islamists want to cut off your head. The world that they want is a world that would submit. We will never submit to evil. We will consign radical Islam to the ash heap of history, just like the Nazis before them.
The governor closed her unique and passionate speech by honoring our military.
Our troops, they fight out of love of family and country and freedom. And if you love freedom, thank a vet.
A pretty easy assignment. Find a vet and thank them. Let them know you know where your freedom comes from. Easy enough? A heartfelt, passionate speech from Governor Palin. She sounded presidential up there as she again stole the show at CPAC, as she's done now for 4 straight years. Usually a Saturday speaker. This time she had a Thursday slot, so she played, instead of the Super Bowl role, the role of the Daytona 500, the biggest event around either way, with a message from a common-sense patriot who gets it. For more on Governor Palin's CPAC speech, head to mamagrizzlyradio.com. This past week, the governor featured my Breitbart piece on Todd Palin's Iron Dog run. Bristol Palin also included it in her blog. And then later in the week, Bristol showcased my CPAC column from Breitbart. Much thanks to the governor and Bristol. Governor Palin also spoke about the show The Voice this past week, writing on social media, quote, "Can there be an even bigger reason to watch The Voice than to get to see Blake Shelton? Well, tonight there is. Jesus is coming to NBC. Thank you, Roma Downey and Mark Burnett, for your faith and your boldness, much like Clint Eastwood sharing his talent with the world and making one of the best, most important films of our time, American Sniper. So many of us appreciate these artists who jump off the political correct bandwagon to just do the right thing. They bless us when they allow good to work through them." For more, visit shareadtheseries.com. That's ShareAdTheseries.com. And to see any of the governor's posts in their entirety, visit Sarah Palin's Facebook page, follow her on Twitter at Sarah Palin USA, and be sure to visit SarahPalinChannel.com.
Now, the Palin Update with Kevin Scholla presents Liberty and Legacy. Here's Tamara Colbert.
I'm filing my story live from the nation's capital this week. I've been stuck here at the airport for 2 days, waiting to get home to Dallas. I've been at CPAC and heard many great conservative voices, but what I wanted to share with you today were the voices of real Americans that I'm stuck with here at the airport and how we got connected by chaos. I found out there really is more that unites us rather than divides us, and that we all share many of the same concerns: stopping the out-of-control spending, closing our borders, following the Constitution, how to create more opportunities for our families, like jobs. Wow. These aren't paid political hacks or right-wing, left-wing, any kind of kooks, or people bust in to vote for their candidate at the CPAC straw poll. No, we are all common-sense Americans trying to either get to work or get home. I got a chance to spend time with a soldier trying to get back to Fort Hood. And he reminded me of our oldest son, who's now serving in Korea in the Air Force. In this unique time in our nation's history, it's time for us to unite, to help each other along the way, not to gain political points, but because it's the right thing to do. I want to share one thing, my thoughts from CPAC, and I want to thank Governor Palin for an incredibly inspiring speech this week in honoring those who continue to protect and serve us all, regardless of the president that we have, regardless of the rhetoric on Capitol Hill. But I want to say thank you. Thank you to my son, Aaron. We love you. Thank you to all of those who serve. Thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts for connecting us as part of this great American fabric. Even though I've been stuck at the airport, it's given me a great opportunity to think about what is important for the future. And that is you and I. We are the key to the future. We are the key to what is going to connect us as Americans. So my advice this week, don't listen to the political hacks, but find someone you can be nice to reflect that great American spirit of pulling each other up together to be prosperous, to be caring, to be kind, and to lead the rest of the world in communicating what freedom is really all about. This is Tamara Colbert for Mama Grizzly Radio.
Tune in for more Liberty and Legacy next week. And to learn about Convention of States, head to conventionofstates.com. Now our weekly commentary, Steel Resolve. Here is Sarah Steelman.
Thanks, Kevin. Since I'm the parent of millennials, I'm happy to report there's some good economic news this week for millennials. And we sure need some good news. The employment rate for 25 to 34-year-olds stood at 76.6% in January, the highest since December 2008, according to data from the Labor Department. The share of 25 to 34-year-olds employed or looking for work was 81.4% last month, up from a 32-year low of 80.5% in October 2013. According to an analysis using Bureau of Labor Statistics data reported in Bloomberg Business, those with bachelor's degrees are experiencing the largest gains, with wage growth averaging 4% in 2014 for 21 to 25-year-olds. It was 2% for the same age workers without a college degree and compares with 1.6% for the entire working population regardless of education. The bad news is that almost 40% of households headed by adults younger than 40 years old had some student debt as of last year. Unfortunately, that means that the extra income earned by those millennials will probably go to paying off student loan debt. Hopefully, this news gives our younger generation hope for their individual pursuit of the American dream that most of us still believe in. This is Sarah Steelman for Mama Grizzly Radio.
Tune in again next week for another segment of Steel Resolve right here on the Palin Update. The Palin Update, including Liberty and Legacy and Steel Resolve, is on demand and available for download. Just head to mamagrizzlyradio.com, pick the show you want to hear, and you can listen anywhere, anytime. Well, that'll just about do it for this edition of the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio. Visit mamagrizzlyradio.com for continuing coverage of Governor Palin. Also, like Mama Grizzly Radio on Facebook and follow along on Twitter at Mama Grizz Radio, at Kevin Scholla, at Tamara Colbert, at Sarah_Steelman, and at 3DSTS. And I'm doing some writing for Breitbart News. Go to Breitbart.com and search Kevin Scholla. I want to thank Sarah Steelman, Tamara Colbert, and everyone here at Mama Grizzly Radio. Thanks to CPAC for your hospitality, and thank you for listening today. A special thanks to our sponsor, 3D Security and Training Academy. Visit 3DSTA.com. Please be sure to join us again next time for another edition of the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio. I'm Kevin Scholla. Have a pleasant day.